Hello all, welcome to the webinar on basic strategies to improve your SAT score. I am Priya Narayanan. I'm a verbal master trainer with Manya, and I have been with this organization for more than 7 years. And I handle verbal for SAT, GRE and GMAT. Right, so that is a brief introduction about me, and I will be holding this webinar today. So whatever queries you have, you can add it in the chat. If it's pertaining to the topic, I will be answering it immediately. But if it's something out of the topic, we can hold on to the questions. We will give you 10 minutes at the end of this webinar where you can raise the questions. I hope it's clear, right? Can I have a thumbs up from everybody? So that let us get started. Come on, Amit, Anika. Anika, Aryan. Yes, great. Thank you, people. So what is the agenda for today? By the way, before we could start with the webinar, I would like to know how many of you have already started preparing for the SAT? Is there anybody who, yeah, Chetan is doing. Anybody else? Okay. Nimisha. Okay. Amit is taking on 8th of May. Very good. What about the others? Girik. Jatin, any question that's related to SAT, we can handle it, right? Okay, some of you have already booked for the 8th of May, but have you started the preparation? Good, good, good. Nice to hear that. Okay. So the agenda for today is we are going to first, okay, with the official guide, good. We are going to start with the structure of the SAT, and then we are going to talk about how the scoring happens on the SAT, the skills that get tested, the different strategies that we're going to discuss today, right? And verbal specific, and then a math specific strategies, right? And finally, yes, Aishi, this is the first session on SAT. We have upcoming sessions. We'll give you information about it towards the end, right? And when to take the SAT and what should you do on the test day, right? So these are the things that we're going to see today. Okay, so is everyone planning to take the test on 8th of May? Or are there people who want to take it in, say, October? Okay, somebody will be taking it later. Good. So we have a mix here, right? So starting with the different sections on the SAT. So broadly speaking, you have the verbal and the math, right? And the first two sections are the reading and the writing and language, right? They do comprise your verbal sections. And on the reading, you will have 52 questions that need to be completed in 65 minutes, right? And on the writing and language section, you have 44 questions that need to be completed within 35 minutes. And remember, this is one of the shortest session if you compare the timing per question, right? You hardly have, it's less than a minute, hardly like 45 seconds per question here, right? Though the other sections you will probably have around a minute. Okay, then comes the math. right? The remaining two sections are related to math. The first one is a math no calculator allowed section, right? And here you will have 20 questions and the duration is 25 minutes. So you have something called as a grid-in question here. If you see, the SAT is basically a multiple choice question test, right? But you will have a question and four answer options to it usually. But on the math alone, you will have few questions that do not have answer choices. Okay, so you just have to solve them and shade the answers in the grids given. Okay. Similarly, your calculator section also has 38 questions, 8 of which are gridden again, right? And this section is for 55 minutes. Now, some of you might be wondering, like, where did the essay go, right? So the essay on the SAT is optional. Grid means, Aishi, you will have, uh, answer there. I mean, you will have to shade the answers there. You will have numbers 0 to 9. You will have a slash, right? And you have to just shade the answer. So if it is 60, so you have to shade 6 and 0 in the second cell. You'll have 4 cells there. Okay. If you look at the answer sheets for SAT, I hope you're using some kind of sheet for shading the answers, right? When you're practicing. So there you'd have seen like boxes. Okay. No, it's not computer based. It is a paper pencil test, Aishi. Okay. So now some of us might be wondering like what happened to the essay post June 21. SAT will not, as in College Board, will not administer the essays, right? It's going to be only till June that they're going to administer. But still, your evidence-based reading and writing section remains unchanged. Only the essay is going to be removed from the test, right? Yeah, you can give it multiple times, Aryan. But there is a hitch there. I'll tell you what it is, right? When we towards the end, just remind me. I'll tell you what it is. Okay. Now, looking at the scores that get reported on the SAT, there are like multiple set of scores which get reported. A few of them will tell you like, how do you stand, what is your strength and what is your weakness. But I'm just looking at, or I'm just showing you the major ones, right? Let us start from the bottom. So all these sections, reading, writing, and the math, when I say math, both the calculator and the non-calculator combined. Shaidavi, please hold on to this question. I'll come back to it at the end of the slide, okay? So reading, writing and language and math. Math, when I say both calculator and non-calculator. So all these sections, you will get a scaled score on the range of 10 to 40. Okay, so which means, say for instance, on the reading, if I get all the 52 questions correct, I'll get a 40. If I get say 51 correct, then it becomes 39. And slowly, as in when the number of mistakes increase, correspondingly your score also will decrease. The same happens for writing and language and math. Okay, so if anybody is planning for a 1600, remember it is not impossible on the SAT. People do get maybe a minuscule amount, but people do get 1600s on the SAT in every administration. Okay, so if you're planning to get that 1600, then you need to have all the questions correct. Okay, so this reading and writing scores, right? The 10 to 40 scores, they get converted into your evidence-based reading and writing score or your verbal score. Okay. Similarly, the maths 10 to 40 gets converted into your math score, right? Out of 200 to 800. Now, what we normally present to the school or what the college is bothered about is your total score, which ranges from 400 to 1600. right? So you add up your verbal score and the math score, that will be your total score. I hope that is clear, right? Shairavi, if you look at most of the colleges, they don't require the SAT scores. Most of them say we don't require, some of them say we recommend. But post this, there will be no requirement for the SAT essay scores, okay, when you're applying. Okay, so now let us look at this percentile. Now I told you about the test score. So the thing is, like, people take the test during different administrations, right? Some of the administrations might be easy, some of them might be difficult. So what the colleges do is they have to compare the students before making a selection, right? So that is where they use the percentile score. So what is a percentile score? So percentile means the percentage of people who are below me. For instance, say if I'm in the 99th percentile, which means I'm in the top 1%, okay? 99% of the crowd has, scored less than what I have. That is what it means, this 99th percentile. Okay, so how can I get a 99th percentile on the math? Uh, if I score a uh, 790 or a 800, then it means a 99 percentile on the math. And if I score a 760 to 800 on the verbal, it would mean a 99th percentile. And if I score a total of 1520 to 1600, I'll be on the 99th percentile. And this is something which, scholarships in US are based on SAT score. Um, so yes, if you are planning to, like, opting for scholarships, a lot of things come into play, your personal profile, your GPA, everything, but SAT also forms a major chunk, right? So, and again, if you're looking at a high profile university like the Ivy Leagues, then this is what you should be aiming at, okay? So this is your 95th percentile. And if you look at 85th percentile, right? So this is something which, sounds great. A 660 on out of 800 or a 650 out of 800 seems like a good score, but then just see where you are. You're in the 85th percentile, which means you can get into a good college, but not maybe the top colleges there, right? Not like the Ivy League, but maybe a decent state university, right? Average score for Germany, uh, Chetan, I'm not very sure about the average score for Germany, but then anything about 1400 is considered as a good score, right? Okay, so that is about the SAT percentiles. All right, now there are two things which you have to consider, Aryan. MIT is again on the same league as the Ivy Leagues, right? So there too, depending on the courses, I'll talk about it in a moment, okay? So it depends on two things, your scores. Now, before we could think about what the scores are, let us see what are the skills that get tested on the SAT. On the verbal section, of course, you have the reading and the writing and language tests. The reading test is about your comprehension and the reasoning skills, while the writing and language tests you on a variety of things, right? Which includes expression of ideas, grammar, and a punctuation, right? And yeah, talking about the the quant section tests you on some of the basics which you have already been doing at school. That includes arithmetic, algebra, data analysis, and some complex topics like trigonometry and complex equations, and a little bit of geometry there. Okay. People, about admissions, I think we will give you our contact details in the end. So you might want to, like contact our team who can guide you with these questions, right? University specific questions, you can get back to them, right? Okay, first of all, uh, you know, you're juggling between school, exams, SAT preparation, and other entrance preparations, right? So hats off to you people. Okay, you're juggling too many things, right? And talking about, Aryan's query about the average score. Okay, your score depends on two things, Aryan. One is the university that you're aiming at. Okay, and the second thing is the course that you're aiming at. So MIT being a top university, so for most of the courses, they might be looking for something like um, a 15, 20 or a 15, 30 and above, right? So the university websites actually give you the 25th percentile and the 75th percentile, as in the average required there. For every university, they have these details on their website, right? So you can probably, go through it if you want. And the second thing is the course. So if you're looking for something like a hot cake, then you again have to look for a higher score there, right? Something like aeronautical engineering that is offered by only the top universities, then you should be looking for a 1500 plus, right? So the score that you're looking for depends on the colleges as well as the course that you're opting for, right? So set the target. This is what I was actually talking about. So what is the university you want to apply? And also what course you're planning to apply. Based on that, you have to set your target. So how do I know how to set my target? Right? So what I can do is, first of all, I should know where I stand. Am I right? So you have to take a diagnostic test. So someone who has not yet started to prepare, so go with a diag test. Now, where can I take the diag test? You can either use the College Board material, or there are certain free practice tests available which you can opt for, right? So take a test, right? Score it and see where you stand. Okay, so if you're looking for a free test, then please go for a quality one, right? Which can tell you about your actual stance, or better go for the College Board test. I mean, is that clear, people? So that will tell you like this is where you stand. Okay, from there you can start setting up your goals. Okay, so this is the university I'm looking for, and this is where I want to reach. Okay. Second one is select your prep course wisely. Now, why should I select the prep course wisely? And my slide says that you are as good as your course and the prep material. So what does it actually mean? Okay, so there are lots of materials available in the internet, right? You may become part of a lot of forums, right? And you may collect a lot of materials. Just think, will you have time to use all of them, right? If I get, yes, College Board official guide or College Board content is something which you have to include in your preparation. That goes without saying, okay? But beyond that, College Board will give you the type of questions. It may not give you the strategies. It may not tell you how to improve your scores. Am I right, Amit? Okay, so that is where your preparation materials come in. So you might download a lot of stuff and try to practice it, but do you have time? And moreover, if you use multiple source, each one would have, given you a different approach. Some of you will then will tell you read the entire passage and go to the question, and someone will tell you read the question and go to the passage, right? So which one will you follow? So you have to choose your course and prep material. Say you have decided on a particular course, then stick to what they give you, stick to what they tell you there. Okay. And talking about your course that you have to select. So there are quite a lot of things. First thing is, who is going to handle the classes for you? Do they have experienced faculty? What kind of material they are going to use again? Okay, it's not enough to practice harder questions on the SAT. SAT is not about hard questions there. Okay, it is about the tricky questions. How does SAT frame a question, right? That's again a big mystery there. Okay, but you should have materials that mimic the actual SAT. Please remember that. Okay. The third thing is, make the best use of your available time. Okay. Um, so what do I mean by make a best use of the available time? So like, I told you, you're juggling between too many things, right? Yes or no? So you cannot afford to have distractions. Have you heard of Pareto principle, people? Have you heard of Pareto principle? It's actually, related to economics. And this person said that 80% of the wealth is with 20% of the people in the world. Okay. We can tweak this 80-20 ratio and say that you can prepare 80% of your uh, or you can, by using just 20% of what you're doing now, you can cover 80% of the portions. So how is that possible? You need to have a clear schedule, right? So when I mean, what do I mean by schedule? It's not just enough to say that I'm going to study for 2 hours today. When I'm going to study, what are the things I'm going to do today? When will I take a test? When will I review the test? And when will I do the uh, remedial action, right? So these are the things which you have to, plan out, maybe for a week or maybe for a fortnight, right? And stick to that schedule. Okay, even if you spend, okay, talking about distractions, right? Most of you may even spend 3 hours preparing for SAT every day. But tell me, do you use all the 3 hours only for the SAT, or what will happen in between? You may get dazed out. Okay, you may be going through a passage and you may get dazed, or a friend of you might sense that you're doing something fruitful and end up calling you to distract you, right? Or your mother may think that you are starving right from the morning and would want to feed you, right? So these are the things which will happen. These are the distractions you will have, right? So if you want to prepare, even if you're spending an hour, have a room for yourself. Okay, don't let anybody in, and keep your mobile outside. Okay, and start preparing. And another thing that I want to add here is, when I say prepare, use your pencil, write down. Okay, just don't skim through the things. That's not going to help you anywhere, because SAT is a paper pencil test, right? Okay, the next thing is, review your mistakes. So where does your learning happen? Tell me. Does your learning happen only in the classrooms? Yes, class. Can I have an answer? Does the learning happen only in the classrooms? It does, right? You learn a major thing, majority of the things in the classroom. But then another type of learning comes from the tests and the drills that you take. Okay. So every time you're preparing for the SAT, say you have taken a drill, okay, don't just, okay, I've made seven mistakes or I've made 10 mistakes. Then don't leave the mistakes there. Okay, just go back to them. If you spend 3 hours taking a test, spend at least an hour or 1.5 hours to review your test. Okay, figure out where you're making mistakes. It could be a very silly mistake. I might have ended up marking D instead of B, right? So the next time I have to be careful. I have to be aware. I have to mark the correct answer. Okay. Second thing, I might not know the concept, right? I would have probably missed out on something I wouldn't have learned, or I did not learn it properly, and that is why I have made a mistake. That's the second thing. The third thing is I know the concept, but I don't know how to apply it in this particular question, right? So, where is my problem? Let me identify it. Okay. So that is where the reviews come in. Okay, so ruthlessly review your test. Every mistake that you make, go through it, figure out where you have gone wrong, and take a learning from that. Okay, and another thing is you may take professional help. Okay, so when you choose a good preparation course, they will not only teach you how to handle the questions, but when you take a test, that entire test will be reviewed by your trainer. Okay, the trainer will help you or guide you in identifying the weaknesses. Okay, it's not just identifying the weaknesses, even you can do it, but your trainer will tell you how to tackle them, right? What other drills I have to take, yes, to improve? What other things I need to learn? So all these things, it's your trainer who can help you with, right? So that is why I told you be careful when you're choosing your prep course. Okay. And the last strategy is face your nemesis. So some of you might be very good at math. Am I right? Even if you take the SAT now, you will easily end up scoring a 700 or a 750. Okay. And coming back to the verbal section, uh, maybe the writing and language is slightly easier, right? So what will happen? People will tend to practice only what they know, right? Just feed your ego by practicing things you already know. I did 50 questions in math and got all of them correct. I did 50 questions in writing and language. I got 45 of them correct, right? You may give a boost to your ego, but where did the reading section go? I haven't done anything in it. And that is where I make the maximum number of mistakes, right? So that is another thing which you have to do, as in figure out, don't keep on practicing things you know, okay? Move over, start working on what your weaknesses are. Okay, so now coming back to a verbal section, people. So how do I start with the verbal section, right? And like I told you, it's the best approach will be to start with a diagnostic test. Am I right? So when I take the diagnostic test, I can learn two things from it. Okay. So when I do the test, what will happen is I may complete the entire test. Say on the verbal, on the reading, I may complete all the 52 questions in 65 minutes. Okay. But if you look at the outcome, I would have probably got 40 questions correct. Okay. Or on the other end, I may have sincerely worked on the questions, but I could complete only, say, 40 questions. And I've gotten all of them correct. right? So these are the two scenarios you will come across. So in the first scenario, there is something wrong with your concepts, right? I mean, you have lots to learn how to tackle the question. You have a lots to learn there. And in the second scenario, you probably know how to answer the questions, but you are very bad at timing yourself, right? So that's the first thing you have to identify. Do I have issues with my timing or do I have issues with the concepts? Right? And start working on it from day one. Right? Okay. So coming back to reading, most of you have started preparing for the SAT, right? So what kind of passages do you see there in the reading section? Aishi? 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 Yes. Could you tell us what kind of passages do you see on the test? Okay, science, history, and of course literature, right? One literature passage, two history, and two science. Okay. So one thing that we have to remember is reading comics or novels are not going to improve your reading skills for SAT. Okay, it may improve your reading skills on the whole, but it is not on the SAT. So what is this SAT about? It is all about reading the passage and answering the questions. You don't need any outside knowledge. Okay, you don't need any critical thinking there. Just the information is already there. It's an open book test. The information is there. It's like how you pick up the yeah, how you pick up the answers, right? Yes, Aisha has something to say. Okay, they are small passages taken from magazines. What kind of magazines, Aishi? More like US journals, like what Amit Gupta says, right? Something like, or from the books, some published materials. Okay. And one important thing that you have to do is when you're reading, you should figure out what the question is asking and learn to predict the answers for the question. Okay. When I say predict again, put it down on paper. Okay. And then use the process of elimination. Okay, you know like what your answer should be like, then get back to the answer options that you have and start eliminating the wrong ones. That is the proper approach towards the reading passage, right? The next one is writing and language. So this section consists of two types of questions, right? One which tests you on grammar and punctuation, right? Nearly 50%, say 20 to 24 questions will be about grammar and punctuation. So you have to learn all the SAT related grammar rules. I'm not asking you to learn all the grammar rules. You have to first figure out what SAT tests you on and learn those specific rules, right? Somewhere around 40 odd rules is what get tested on the SAT regularly, okay? And the second thing is you have this style questions, okay, that may ask you, do I add this? Do I delete it? What is the right order? Agreed? So for such questions, so for every question type there, you need to have a strategy, right? Say if I have to add, you need to see whether that idea is consistent with the remaining part of the paragraph. If I have to remove something, then you have to think about, if I remove it, does it, take away any important information, right? So these are the things which you need to look into. Let us try a few questions on these are from the college board, right? I've taken it from test one. Okay. So this is one of the commonly tested question type on the SAT. So for in every passage, you will see at least two of these questions. They are called as vocabulary in context questions. Okay. So what does this question say? As used in a line 1 and line 65, directly most nearly means. So I've taken it from line 1. Akira came directly, breaking all tradition. Was that it? Had he followed form? Had he asked his mother to speak to his father to approach a go between? Would she have been more receptive? Yes. So, what does the word directly means? Directly means how he approached her, right? But what does the sentence say? These are the things which should have happened traditionally, right? He had asked his, did he ask his mother to go speak to his father to approach a go between? So there was no go between, right? So it's not confidently, people. Where does it say confidently? It only says he approached her. But how did he approach her? There was no mediation, right? There was no go between. Am I right? So no go between. What is the correct answer? Option C. Okay. So by directly, you might have fallen for confidently. It could even mean frankly, right? That way. He approached her directly, so he was frank. But we are looking at the contextual meaning of the word, not the actual meaning, right? Not the primary meaning, but the contextual meaning of the word. Okay, so what is the contextual meaning of the word? It is without mediation. Is that clear? See how tricky the questions are. Sounds like a very straightforward question, but a lot of trap answers there, right? One second, people. Let me just erase this. Now, what is the next question talking about? The passage indicates that the assumption made by gift givers in lines of 41 to 44 may be. Okay, so when you say the passage indicates, it's majorly about what the author of the passage has to say. Okay, so in lines of 44 to 44, they're talking about the assumption. So what does the author say about that assumption? He says, although a link between gift price and feelings of appreciation might seem intuitive to gift givers, such an assumption is unfounded. Right? So, what does the term unfounded mean in this case? Yes, unreasonable. It is not. Okay. Is it unreasonable or incorrect? Your answer is unfounded, right? What does the word unfounded mean? Incorrect. Very good. The correct answer is incorrect. It's not unreasonable. It is just wrong. Okay. Right. The third kind of question. So, what does this one ask us? The authors refer to work by Cameron and others in order to. Okay. So, most of the, I mean, all of the SAT questions, so to say, do not end with question marks. Have you noticed it? Yes or no? People, can I have an answer? Most of the questions do not end with question marks. Okay, so how do I Okay, so you need to convert it into a question format. Okay, so most of the cases it will be either a what question or a why question, right? So now how do I know whether this question is asking me for what do the authors say about the work or why do they say about the works? That is where the task words from the questions come in. So whenever the author says in order to, okay, so in order to means, when do you say in order to? I joined the course in order to get a high score. Am I right? So in order to means I'm giving a reason. Why? Very good. So this is actually a why question, right? Why did the author talk about, or why do the authors refer to Cameron and others? Okay, so what does it say? Why do gift givers that gift prize is so closely linked to gift recipients' feelings of appreciation? Perhaps givers believe that bigger gifts convey stronger signals of thoughtfulness and consideration. According to Cameron and others, gift giving represents a symbolic ritual whereby gift givers attempt to signal their positive attitudes towards the intended recipient and the willingness to invest resources in a future relationship. Right? So, what does the paragraph say at the beginning? It says that bigger gifts convey stronger signals of thoughtfulness and consideration, right? Yes or no? Yes, so the answer is hey. The authors have mentioned these people to explain why is it so, right? Very good. It's not questioning a motive or supporting a conclusion. It's just explaining as why it happened. So very good. All right. So now let us move ahead and look at a few questions from writing and language. So on the writing and language, what do you see? You will have the passage on one side and a few underlined portions with the question number, no questions as such, right? The passage will be on the left side and the questions on the right side. And if you notice, the first answer option will always be no change, okay? Which means it is the same as what is there in the sentence, okay? So how do we tackle this? Read the sentence. Nutritionists consider Greek yogurt to be a healthy food. It is an excellent source of calcium and protein, serves to be a digestive aid, and it contains few calories in its unsweetened, low, and non-fat forms. Right? So what is changing in the first one? Class, what is changing in the first one? What parts of speech is changing rather? Prepositions are changing, right? So this question is testing you on idioms. What is the right preposition that goes into the blank? Okay, so serves comes along with as. Very good. Okay. So you need to know the idioms also to an extent. Right, now let us look at the second one. What is happening there? What is changing in the second answer option? Aryan, could you tell us what is changing in the second option? Yes, the verb forms are changing. Very good. Okay, so how do I decide which verb form is correct? So one thing we can do is take the help of the non-underlined portion. Okay, so what does the non-underlined portion say? It is an excellent source of calcium and protein. It serves something. Am I right? Okay, and it contains. So serves and contains go together. Okay, which means I can eliminate B and D. Okay, so should it be it contains or just contains? It should be only contains because it becomes redundant here, right? You don't have a it before serve, so you need not use an it before contains also. So A is gone. The correct answer would be option C. Chetan, I don't need the it in the sentence. Okay, so it becomes redundant. So I'm getting rid of A and I'm going with option. Okay, so just give me one moment. Let me eliminate these. Okay. So here comes the big ones. Now, so one of these are the questions, which actually come with the question. Okay, so they may ask you to do quite a lot of thing like, uh, do you want to add it? Do you want to remove it? Where will you add it? What is the right order? Yes, what is the best introduction? What is the correct conclusion? What is the best transition, right? They come in a lot of flavors. So let us see what this question asks us for. The writer wants to add the following sentence to the paragraph. After filling out a simple registration form and taking a quick tour of the facility, I took a seat at a table and got right to work on my laptop. Okay. So where will it fit in? I want all of you to give a try and then I'll explain it to you. So should I add it before sentence one? Or so what does this information talk about here, Aryan? The sentence talks about what he actually did. Okay. So sentence one talks about what he decided to do, right? Sentence two talks about why he decided to do. Okay. So where should this come after come? It should come after sentence two, right? It should come after sentence two because that clearly tells us like how he did it, right? He filled a registration form and he started working, right? Good job there. Very good. Okay, now let us move over to the math strategy. So as far as math goes, uh, you might be familiar with most of the concepts that get tested, right? So here it is more about practicing a lot. And remember one thing, this is one area where you can aim to score an 800. Am I right? Because you're already familiar, all you need is the practice with the right kind of questions. And in this section too, when you're taking the diagnostic test, analyze and figure out, where exactly are you going wrong? What are the things I need to learn? Am I right? And how I should learn how to apply the concepts to the questions as they appear on the SAT, right? You need to work on those two and practice a lot, okay? Because like I said, getting an 800 will go a long way in improving your scores, overall scores, right? And another thing is, say if you are applying for an engineering based course, the university might be looking for a higher score on the math, right? So it will come in handy then, right? Yeah. Try this. People, this is a very basic question, one of the questions that, or kind of questions that appear. I said B. So what does the question say? A line in the xy plane passes through the origin and has a slope of 1 by 7. Which of the following points lie on the line? So how will you work with this question, Chetan? you have to form the equation, right? Equation of a line with a slope 1/7 and passes through the origin. What will be the equation of such a line? An equation of a line. So the equation will be something like x is equal to 7y, right? In this case, sorry. X is equal to 7y. And you have to solve it. Okay. So is that an easier method? How do we get the slope of an equation? How do you find the slope of a line? Change in y by change in x, right? So instead of framing an equation and doing algebra there, though this is an easy one, right? So what you can do is individual points you can take. So if you take 0, 7, what will be the slope? You already know that the another point on the line is 0, 0. Am I right? Right? So I just have to find the slope between these points and 0, 0, whichever point gives me the slope 1/7, that is my answer, right? So if you take option D, what will I get? 2 minus 0 by 2 minus 0 by 14 minus 0, right? What will that be? 1/7. So it's simpler to do it this way, right? You can probably use the information from the answer itself rather than framing an algebraic expression there. Okay. Let us do this question, people, quickly. So this one says Alma bought a laptop at a store that gave a 20% discount off its original price. The total amount she paid to the cashier was P dollars, including a 8% sales tax on the discounted price. Which of the following represents the original price of the computer in terms of P? Okay, so will you people try or shall I work it out? Aishi, where are you making mistake? So let me assume that X is the price of the laptop, right? So what will be the discounted price? 80% of X, which will be like 0.8X, right? So I have to pay a sales tax of 8%. So what will P be? 1.08 times the discounted price. Am I right? Now, what is the question asking for? It is asking for the original price. It is asking me the value of X. So that will be P divided by 0.8 into 1.08, right? Aisha, did you understand where you went wrong? The question is actually asking you for the value of Y, not P. Okay. Okay, so when to take the test? That's a big question, right? So some of you have already booked. So there are two things which you have to remember while you have to take the test. The first one is the deadlines, right? The university have their own deadlines. You need to figure out and send the scores as early as possible, right? Based on the deadlines. And also your preparedness. When you take the test, you should be prepared. You should be confident enough to take it. One of you asked, like, can you take it multiple times? Yes, you can take it multiple times, but it will show up in your report. Some of the colleges may ask you for all the administrations of SAT that you have taken, right? So if it comes up like I have taken it 5 times or 6 times, it may not sound good on your profile, right? So take it when you're ready. Ideally, even college both suggest that you take the test twice. First time is more like a practice, and the second time you know like how the test works and you take it seriously. Okay, right. So what do I do on the test day? Take the easy test first. So on the SAT, you will find easy questions, medium questions, harder questions in every section. And every question carries the same mark. Okay, so it makes more sense to start with the easy ones, complete them, and then come back to the harder ones. Okay, and don't panic. Say, even if you're not able to complete a section, you cannot do anything right there. All we can say is like there is probably one more time that you can take it. Okay, so don't get panic, don't lose out on the other sections also. Okay, try to give your best there. People, this is the list of the upcoming events. Okay, the link will be shared in the chat box with you. If you want to register for the upcoming sessions, I mean, they happen on every Wednesday. You can use the link that will be shared with you and register for the same. Yes. Now it is time for the queries. So if you have any questions, please, get back to us now. If you want answer for any questions, anything that's SAT related, be it prep or be it taking the test, you can ask it now. So the link has been shared with you. Please make a note of it. What is the minimum age? There is nothing like a minimum age. Even you can probably, take it when you're in your 11th grade. That makes more sense, right? Even if you want to take it during your 10th grade, it's fine. How are we prepared for SAT in Mania education? Thanks, Shairvi. That's a very good question. So we welcome you with a diagnostic test, Shairavi. Okay, so both you and I will know where you stand, right? That's the first step. And post that, we have batches as well as one-on-ones, right? So if your timing suits with a batch, you can join a batch, which will be a very small sized batch, so to say. Yes, it is a free test, Aishi. It is a free test. You can take it. And once you take the test, uh, when will it happen? You can take it anytime. You can walk into any of the center, or say if you cannot go to reach a center, you can get back to one of our counselors. They will mail the question paper to you and you can take the test, right? So once you take the test, you know where you stand. Then you can either join a one-on-one class or a batch, right? And what will happen is halfway through the course, we will again make you take tests on a regular basis to figure out. Say if you have covered one test there, Aishi, you can take one test for free. Uh, okay, 1 minute, Yukti, I'll come back to your question. So halfway through the course, say your reading module is over, they'll give you a test again to see how much you have learned. right? And also tell you like where you're missing out so that you can prepare. And then when the next module completes, again, we'll make you take another test, right? And post your course gets over, you will still be in touch with your trainer. And on regular basis, based on your test dates, we'll make you take tests and give you reviews, right? And also we have a refresher sessions, as in before the exam. Say if your exam is happening in March, so from February we'll start conducting online tests. Okay, so which will be proctored one. You'll have a proctor who will be giving you the time and all that. Okay, will be guiding you, and you'll be asked to take the test post that. And there too, you'll have regular reviews for the test. And just before the exam, you'll have a refresher session where we will do a recap of all the topics. I hope that explains to you. No, Aishi, we have different trainers for different sessions, right? And August SAT Yukti, you can join anytime. Okay. I don't know what that buddy for study is, Amit, so I cannot answer that question. I'm sorry. SAT Black Book, Shlok, anything that can guide you with right strategies, it will be a good book, Shlok. It's not just the questions that are going to help you, right? How you tackle the question is what is important. How do you do it within the stipulated time? So if the black book can guide you with that, then absolutely you can use it. Okay. So I hope all of you have made a note of the sessions here. Okay. So this is our contact detail. So if you want to get back to us, as in you can mail us, or this is a toll-free number which you can call us on. Any other query, people? Yeah. Thank you, people. All the best for your prep. All the best for people who are taking the test in March and May, right? And what if you run a far? So, Shlok, you have 8 college board tests. Test 2 and 4 are removed, and you have test 9 and 10 added. So, you have like 8 tests there to practice. And from your own preparation course, so if you look at Manya, we have 4 full length tests. And other than that, we have a entire book of 10 tests, 10 full length tests, right? Which are almost similar to the college board tests, right? So I don't think you will be running out of materials. We have somewhere around like 25 odd tests to practice. Aeronautical engineering. Aryan, my suggestion would be like you can get back to the admissions people. So you have this email ID and phone number here. If you reach out to them, they'll be in a better position to guide you with the colleges, because I'm majorly a trainer, so I don't want to give you, any wrong information about this, right? So you have the number here. Please give a call to them. They'll be able to guide you. Shrok, does that answer your question? Running out of materials? You need practice materials also, okay, not just the tests. Great. Okay, then people. So if you have raised all the questions, then we can close this session.